so I just watched Maniac, like binged Maniac on Netflix. I watched it all in 3 days. I couldn't stop watching it. It's got Jonah Hill. It's got Emma Stone. I convinced Amanda to watch it. I said, you need to watch this with me so we can talk about it. And then I asked Tanya to watch it, and I kind of forgot there was a lot of cuss words that started like right away. So I think, Tanya, how far did you make it in this show?
I made it through 2 episodes. Well, because I couldn't find much information about it online. You know, I was like Googling stuff and to see what, because I'm usually a PG-13 or less type of girl. And so then I was like, okay, well, Tessa's seen it. I'm going to ask her. So I was like, hey, Tessa, is it like PG-13? And she's like, yeah, I would say. I'm like, okay, I just don't like the F word. I don't like, you know, nudity or any of that. She's like, no. And then she's like, no, there's none of that. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know, 5 minutes in, F-bomb.
Did you count them, Tanya? Did you count the amount of F-bombs?
No, because I lost track. So I'm like, oh, well. And then 5 minutes after that, the old lady F-bomb twice. And I'm like, now they got the elderly saying the F word. I mean, come on.
Now she had the elderly even F-bombing.
I forgot too.
Aside from the F-bombs, then good thing you didn't get to episode 3, because then they started having relations with cartoon characters, number 1. All right?
Virtual reality, Amanda. That could happen in real life.
Some virtual reality attachments attached to his stuff.
Yeah. He said he had a condition.
Tanya,
Amanda.
Good thing you spared yourself not going into episode 3.
Yeah.
That's a good thing because you warned me. So I was like, no, I'm done. I'm out.
Let's talk about the premises, because Emma Stone's in this.
The premises is like that's a completely different word than premise.
Oh, is that not the right word? Let's talk about the premise. Let's talk about the premise. Look, all right, what do they call grammar Nazis? Just because I got the wrong word. Let's talk about the premises, because I'm gonna keep saying that. The premise. First of all, Emma Stone's in it, right? Yeah. And I love Emma Stone. Jonah Hill, skinny Jonah Hill.
Yes.
Weird looking Jonah Hill. He's weird looking like Drew Carey is weird looking skinny.
Oh, so yeah.
He's weird looking skinny Jonah Hill. And I'm not sure how I like, because it's a serious role, Jonah Hill. I'm not sure I like serious Jonah Hill. Like,
I love serious Jonah Hill.
I liked him in Moneyball. Wasn't that a semi-serious role? I liked him in that.
I never saw it, but it is. And I think he was nominated for an award. He might have won even for it. So,
but he didn't win. Nobody likes serious Jonah Hill.
I like serious Jonah Hill. I will tell you, I thought he really impressed me.
He did. Like, I was believing him though. So he was supposed to be like, schizophrenic or something in this, right? So he's seeing things are going on. So I'm talking about the premise here, and I'm trying to figure it out myself what the premise is. So it's them two, and he's got mental problems, and she is hooked on this drug that makes her relive a tragedy in her life. So she had this tragedy. Are we going to give it away? No, we shouldn't give away the tragedy, huh?
I would just say it comes in episode 2, right? At the end of episode 2, I think. Yeah. And it's a pretty traumatic, like, something she feels that she's responsible for and she deserves to relive over and over. I think that's why she keeps taking this drug. She thinks that's what she deserves. She deserves nothing better than to relive this tragedy over and over and over.
So she's so hooked on this drug, she goes to these drug trials and tries to sneak into them, right? So is that what happened? Like, she was sneaking into these drug trials?
Yeah, she threatened that lady. She said she's going to kill her daughter.
I'm going to kill your daughter if you don't get me in this drug. Like, she was having withdrawals from this drug, right?
Yeah, it was me, Emma Stone.
It was, she wasn't playing around. No. She wasn't playing around. But I don't even know how Jonah Hill got in this. Is he in the drug trial just because he's got the psychological?
Well, remember, he got that phone call that was like, you should come here.
And then
so he's like, okay.
He lost his job, and so he had some free time. I don't know. That's what I didn't understand.
He was trying to make some money. Although he's from a wealthy family, but he's just trying to make some money.
he doesn't want to ask them. I mean, he doesn't like his family, right? Which, I mean, really, once you get to the end, you can tell why.
His family's kind of jerky. They are. They're jerky family. So they get into this drug trial thing, and then he thinks he's like, he sees her and he thinks he's on like some kind of undercover mission, right?
He does.
He goes along with it because she already snuck in there. So she's like, oh yeah, we're not undercover mission. Just go in there and don't say nothing, right? So but then crazy stuff started happening. They're doing these drug trials and crazy stuff's happening. And that's where it lost me. I was like, now they're Lord of the Rings. Oh, it gets crazier, Tanya. You lucky you got out when you had, because I'm still confused.
They all had, everything was a fantasy, right? So if you were paying attention, the Lord of the Rings part, if you remember at the beginning when she's driving with her sister says she likes fantasies, right? That's her favorite genre. And Emma Stone is like, those genres are dumb, basically, right? She's like, whatever. So then in this one fantasy, her and her sister are elves. And she's like, of course it would be fantasy. So it's because of her interaction with her sister, where her sister was saying she liked fantasy. I think it was a subconscious, that's why they were elves type of thing. And she even says she knows that it's really a fantasy. She's like, my brain is making this up. Of course it's a fantasy because you like fantasies.
Well, that's what I remember, seeing a trailer or something, and yes, them as elves. And I'm like, how the heck did they get from this point to freaking elves? And I'm like, I did not get it. And where is Orlando Bloom in all of this? If you're going to be Elvie, then bring him in.
I mean, it would have been the perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? Then I would have been hooked on that drug then. I'd be like, put me under. Put me under. Orlando Bloom, put me under. I would have been hooked on that drug then. But something weird happened in this experiment too. They're doing these drug trials. So something weird happened because they're in their subconscious having all these fantasies, elves, and all these different scenarios. But then Emma Stone's character and Jonah Hill's character start like linking together in the subconscious. And they don't know.
Always. And nobody else was. But nobody it's because
them too. Oh, you know why?
The computer was crying.
Oh, that's why. It was
when something happened. I don't know that it's a huge spoiler, but when something happened, the computer was crying because she was heartbroken over it. Yeah. You see the face was crying, and then a tear came down. And what it did is it stuck there. There was number 1, which is Jonah Hill, and number 9, which was Emma Stone. The tear stuck together their wires.
Wow. See, y'all, if you're gonna watch this show, number 1, pay attention to everything, because obviously I didn't pay attention to. So you have to really focus on this show to keep up.
Tessa, who would you recommend this show for?
People who like weird things. Okay. You have to really like. I mean, it's weird, and some parts, like right in the middle, it gets really weird, and you have to really like weird things. But like, so my husband and I are super into, like, we'll watch pretty much anything. But I'm not gonna lie, like I cried at the end a little bit. Like I got really invested in these people. And I think that's just because I'm like an empath and I'm totally an emotional person. But I think if you can deal with language, like a lot of it, apparently, because after Tanya started watching it, then I started paying attention and I was like, oh. But it's crazy because I never noticed it before. But you have to deal with language. You have to pay attention. You definitely have to pay attention.
You'll get lost. You'll get lost,
yeah. And you have to stick through to the end, because it's really in the final episode that they really bring a lot out for you and really explain it all.
I agree. Like in that, but I was still, even after the final episode, were you not still somewhat confused about things?
I don't think so, but Brett was watching it. My husband was watching it with me, and we immediately talked about it for like half an hour. So I think that helped talking it through. But I just really, one of my favorite things is we said they have these fantasies. Like one of my favorite things was pointing out the people from their actual life that were always different characters in their fantasies. And it was kind of fun to be like, wait, who's that person? I know that person. Oh yeah, that was this person in here. He was the lawyer here, and he was this person here. So that was kind of fun too. Yeah. But you got to pay attention.
Their fantasies did have like the same characters and kind of different roles.
I would probably let my girls watch it when they're like 16, 17, but that's because like, I mean, my husband was a sailor, so they hear words already at 5 and 7. So, and I think it depends on the maturity of your child.
Yeah, so my kids will never be watching this.
And my kids probably already have. I'm just saying. I might need to go ask them what happened. I mean, to be like, what?
Well, why don't you clarify their ages? You know, mine are 5 and 7. Yours are a little older.
13 and 10. So that doesn't make it any better. I cut a lot. 18 and 21. But no, for real though, I was confused, like most of it, which made me mad because I was confused. So that was probably the biggest negative for me. But if I would have had someone to talk it out with like you did, I think I would have liked it better. As far as the overall story and everything, the plot I love. Like that, just like the whole plot, and like, and they kind of in the futuristic, like even they had some parts in the future where they went by. Did you see that part with the Statue of Liberty? But they called it something else.
Yeah, I know exactly. So the weird part about that whole thing is it's supposed to be set in our time, I think, but there's certain things in the future, and then the technology seems like the 80s. Like it's so weird, and it was such a weird combination. But one thing that I thought was kind of cool was the ad buddies. Like if you can't afford to do something, you have to have someone walk around with you reading off ads.
I know. And I was like, that's a genius idea. And one thing I want to ask though, do you think there'll be a second season?
Here's the thing. I think there could be. I think a lot of people are asking for it. I don't think they should have one. I think it would ruin the first season. I don't know where they would go with it, the way they ended the second one. Whatever they do, even if they do like the evens experience, because, you know, those were the odds in the trial, even if they do other people, I would rather not see it. I'd rather leave it a standalone and enjoy it for what it is, because I really think they could ruin it with a second season.
I agree. I think they'd try to replicate the first season, but they ain't going to be able to hit on that magic. So, I mean, I think it's worth a watch, and I think it's something that would interest a lot of people. So I'm saying I give it a thumbs up.
I give it 2.
Oh.
I mean, it's not for everybody, but I agree. I think there are people who would really like it. And I think there are people who would really not like it.
All right. Well, the other girls didn't watch Maniac along with us, but let's check in with them and see what they're up to.